Hey, 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 happy Thursday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, interestingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Thursday, October, I was just looking at something in October. Tonight is Thursday, August 21st, 2025. This is live show 1226. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out it's super casual around here. Talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then we will normally take a first look at a game. Maybe we'll unbox a board game. Normally, we will take a peek at a role-playing game release, which is what we're doing tonight. Every once in a while, I might just tackle a topic, or every blue moon, just do the news and then chew the fat with chat. But of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for our latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And then, of course, because this is a live stream, there is chat available. Now, you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 60 minutes before you can take part in chat. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you happen to have been a subscriber for at least an hour and want to say howdy, maybe got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. First out the gate tonight is our good friend of the show, the Madman, happens to be one of our chat moderators. Semper Buffo is also here, and I would not be surprised if the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D is lurking in the shadows, yet another of our chat moderators. So tonight we are going to be diving on in and taking a first look at the Wildsea Core Rules from Mythworks. This is an Emmy award-winning RPG. It's been out for a little bit. I think it's been out a couple of years now. I am very curious. I've heard really good things about this. So I am chomping at the bit to dive on in. Got to point out, kind of weird start to the show. So I was trying to get stuff done, and then I was checking out, make sure all my news pieces were right, and they weren't. And I was like, oh, for crying out loud. And I was like, oh, damn it, I got to get the intermission video. Oh, hold on, wait. And I'm like, oh, crap, it's 7 o'clock. Yeah, so a little discombobulated to start the show off. That's okay. It's all right. It's all right. Tessie Trekkie is popping on in. Sarah D is with us this evening as well. Should also say hello to my best friend, Elliot Miller, because I understand that he's been doing a little working out after dinner. And I guess he hops on the old treadmill and pops on the old stream. So get moving, man. Push it, push it. Probably not even watching. All righty then. So let's dive right on into the news, because Italian publisher Aces Games is crowdfunding the Return of the Living Dead 40th anniversary VHS tabletop role-playing game. I've got the scoop. VHS, Very Horror Stories throws you straight into the atmosphere of classic horror films from the very first glance. Everything you need to play is packed inside a VHS-style box with a removable slipcase. It's a solid rule set with solo mode included. You can play VHS with a director, the game master, or without one, with a group or on your own. Whatever mode you choose, VHS walks you through the setup and play of a film, a self-contained session designed to last as long as a movie. But VHS doesn't stop at pre-written content. Thanks to the writing mode, a full chapter in the core manual, you can create each element of the game yourself, from the monsters to the maps. And since every VHS uses the same system, you can mix and match content from different boxes, create your own unique horror style. There's a sharp aesthetic, streamlined rules, and full immersion. From its look to its mechanics, everything in VHS is designed to put you right into a horror movie. Or make you the villain. Yes, you can play as the monster too. Now, they were contacted, Aces Games, I almost said Ace Games, to create the official Return of the Living Dead edition through Very Horror Stories, and they couldn't have been more excited and honored. Beyond making a major milestone for them, this project gave Aces Games the chance to prove just how perfectly VHS can adapt to a real horror film. They already had the tools, and the result is a painstakingly faithful recreation. From the pins on Spider's jacket to the suspiciously perfect teeth of those foam-packed skeletons. Now, there is a quick Kickstarter video. Let's give it a watch.
There they are.
You said that thing was alive?
So they say.
Yeah, these things don't leak.
Leak? Hell no, these things were made by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Oh, fuck!
Spectacular results, sir.
This Kickstarter is fully funded. You can reserve a copy of the Trioxin Leak Box, which actually includes VHS Return of the Living Dead, 9 miniatures, 7 dice, as well as PDFs, for a pledge of approximately $58. Or if you want to just get the PDF of the VHS edition, you can do so for a pledge of approximately $23 through September 4th. Expected delivery is July of next year. So I have to say, those of you who are around my age, you may recall back in the 80s, there would be sneak peeks at movies. I know Elliot and I both saw Raiders of the Lost Ark at a sneak peek. We also saw Stripes at a sneak peek. And we saw Return of the Living Dead as a sneak peek. And I remember Elliot and I fucking hated this movie. And I'll explain why. So if we go back in time, 1985, the sneak peek of this came out before Day of the Dead. So we thought, because we had heard, oh, there's a new George Romero zombie movie coming out. And we had seen Dawn of the Dead at a midnight movie and absolutely loved it. I think we saw it a couple of times, actually, with some of our friends. First time was just Ellie and I. So anyway, so we thought, oh, Return of the Living Dead, this is it. Oh, and we can get into a sneak preview? Oh, man, this is awesome. And we were like, what? We're like, what the hell? The hell is this? It's like, this is goofy. But the reality is, now looking back, because I've seen it since, it's fine. Because I understand what it is. But imagine yourself going to the movies and you think you're going to see the latest George Romero zombie movie, and you're like, what the hell? Something else that's kind of strange. I know Evil Genius Games, I think they finished a Kickstarter. I don't think they're in the midst of a Kickstarter, but I think they had recently finished a Kickstarter for what they're saying is the official Return of the Living Dead role-playing game for their everyday heroes. I don't know. I don't share news from Evil Genius Games anymore after their fiasco with not paying creators and stuff like that. So, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. But then again, you know what? It might be a case like a lot of things out there. Like we were talking about this when we discussed what would a Kolchak the Night Stalker role-playing game look like? How there are multiple entities that own rights to TV shows and movies and that. This could be one of those cases as well. All right, so we had our Dubs pop on into chat real quick. Said they're actually getting ready to run a game of the Wildsea for their stepson. And then they had to rock. So they're already out of here. But we also have Sean O'Donnell, Kevin King, Kevin R. Smith, and yes, the voice of E, it's Elliot himself popping on in, saying they have not seen that movie since the 80s. So I wonder if Elliot came in late. I wonder if he's just getting into the stream. And how I was just talking about how we went and saw this and we're like, what the is this? But hey, you know, this looks kind of cool. And you know what? They've got 9 miniatures. Okay, here's something else I thought was kind of weird. So in Return of the Living Dead, what is her name? Is it Laura Quigley or something like that? She was like she's still around. She was a scream queen back in the day. And at one point in the film, she strips on down to basically, I think it's a pair of stockings and dances nude on this. I think it's like a sarcophagus or something like that. So they are showing that character in this, and it's sort of like, come on, really? What? You know, it's like there's no nipples. It's like, come on. If you're gonna have a nude image of the character, put the damn nipples on. It's like, I thought that was kind of weird when I saw that. Steven from Roll for Combat is also in chat with us. Chris Lundgren is also joining us tonight too. Let's see. Steven says, yeah, that's who it was. I thought that was her name. That was actually one of my favorite parts of the film. Yeah. What do you want? I was like 18, 17, 18. Moving right along. Next month, we'll bring the Warhammer 40,000 Roleplay Imperium Maledictum Inquisition GM's Guide. And I've got the skinny from Cubicle 7 Games. The Macarian sector burns. The heresies Macaria are in motion. Inquisitor Lord Hiranamio Drake is dead. Much like the sector itself, the Macarian Inquisition is in disarray. But one Inquisitor has risen to the challenge of uniting them in conclave. Beyond the countless heretics, demonic influences, and foul xenos, lurks a threat that, left unchecked, could consume the whole sector. Can the conclave's Inquisitors and acolytes put their shadow wars aside and work together to purge this threat before it threatens the entire Imperium? The Inquisition guides bring the holy orders of the Emperor's Inquisition to life at your gaming table. This second half of a thrilling 2-book set for Warhammer 40,000 Roleplay Imperium Maledictum, the Inquisition GM's Guide gives you all the tools and content you need to craft unforgettable and perilous investigations for your players and their acolytes. A deep dive into inquisitorial philosophies, how they can influence an Inquisitor's decision, shape their goals, and hook characters into further missions. A collection of GM advice for running Inquisition investigations, tips on role-playing characters, how to seed in clues, chaos, corruption, and demonic influence. 6 sample Inquisitor patrons with rich histories and motivations. Any of them could be the perfect ally or secret enemy for your party. The Heresies Macaria Campaign, a decade-spanning adventure where players will travel all across the sector and face every kind of threat, all while rooting out deadly mysteries and corruption within the Inquisition itself. A roster of inquisitorial contacts for players to interact with, and a collection of deadly sector threats to seed into your campaigns as driving antagonists or obstacles. The Inquisition GM's Guide requires the Imperium Maledictum Core Rulebook in order to play. It brings the focus in on Inquisition-themed adventures, adding new elements to your ongoing campaign or setting you up for a brand new adventure. The Inquisition Player's Guide completes this 2-book set, containing all the tools and new rules you need to build and outfit acolytes and their Inquisitor patrons. This 176-page hardcover with PDF will carry an MSRP of $44.99. It lands in stores on September 17th. Yes, we actually finally have the release date. I didn't have it yesterday. I've got it today. So the Player's Guide will also arrive on September 17th. Fingers crossed, maybe we get to see these. We probably do. Not sure if we'll see them before they hit stores. Now, right now, you can grab the PDF alone if you'd like. You can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $22.99. Sweet. Very cool. I always like to see new Cubicle 7 game stuff. I am a big fan. Big fan. All right, we got a few more people popping into chat. DB's with us as his Coco B. Jeff Witty Art has joined the fray. Oh, I guess I shouldn't say fray. So, has joined the chat. So they can only hang for a bit. And let's see. I thought someone, oh, there we go. Lord Cost 2000 is also with us in chat. Looks like we've got a nice chat rocking and rolling this evening. On our next news piece, arriving from Osprey Games next month is Untamed Worlds, and I've got the latest. Untamed Worlds is an action-packed role-playing game of animals uplifted to serve as humanity's agents among the stars. Welcome to space, the last great wilderness. While humanity has reached the stars, most humans live on Earth and other developed worlds, relying on the brave or desperate few to tame this dangerous new frontier. After disastrous experiments with human and AI operatives, the collected nations and megacorporations of Earth turn to the animal kingdom, genetically modifying and enhancing various species to protect their off-world interests. As humanity extends its reach into untamed space, the elite, if expendable, animals of the United Expeditionary Force are the tip of the spear. Untamed Worlds is a military science fiction role-playing game of anthropomorphic action in which dog-faced soldiers, guerrilla commandos, chameleon snipers, octopus gunslingers, and other uplifted animals fight to defend a humanity that looks down on them. The 2d6 base system is simple but dynamic, with success and failure constantly generating new tactical options for players to exploit and challenges to which they must adapt. Whether pacifying alien threats and rebel factions, hunting down rogue AIs, or exploring the unknown, it's never a dull day in the UEF. The 288-page hardcover is arriving in stores on September 17th. Back-to-back September 17th releases. It is going to carry an MSRP of $35. You'll be able to score the PDF on the same date for $24.50. Sounds kind of cool. Sounds kind of interesting. There are, as people are mentioning in chat, there are some other role-playing games that sort of play off of this sort of well, I don't know. So Mutineer Zero is being mentioned by Tessie Trekkie. But I want to say I don't believe those are uplifted. They're mutants. Well, yes. This could be cool. Could be kind of interesting. I am planning on reaching out to Osprey Games because the marketing contact I had with them is now with Rebellion Unplugged. And of course, once they left, it all dried up with Osprey Games. I don't hear anything from them. So, so I don't know. I don't know. But I would like to reach out because you might recall always sharing first looks and reviews, especially of the role-playing games from Osprey Games. I know. We'll see. We'll find out. All righty. On to our next news piece. Now available from Spicy Tuna. Oh, that's a spicy tuna. Is outsourced the Luco Fin Corp Deception for Mothership First Edition. Here's what I know. You were sent to die, but survived. Your loyalty was programmed, but you know too much. Survive, assimilate, or escape. Outsource the Luco Fin Corp Deception is a modular survival thriller campaign packed with intrigue, discovery, and a healthy combination of corporate and space horrors. The 104-page book contains Luco Fin Corp, the umbrella corporation puppeteering the largest mercenary corps in the sector. They're paid in the shadows to make personnel who know too much accidentally disappear on outsourced missions. There's Escape from Yuri Clovis Bunker, a short campaign written by Christian Sorrell, complete with a solo procedure written by Alfred Valley that includes their combined systems semiotic standard first seen in Thousand Empty Light. There's the Celcio X Death Mission Toolkit. Randomly generate a hex crawl across a frozen planet. Generate burrows for the crew to explore and warm up in. Choose between two horrors to hunt the crew as they attempt to survive their crash. And then we also have Trace Atco Death Mission, another toolkit. Randomly generate tunnel systems on a sizzling planet haunted by the Red Death and all of the cannibalistic and blood-hungry creatures that infest the tunnels. There's the Mercenary Appendix, which includes alternate loadout tables featuring weapons from Yucatan Tech Co., random downtime tables, 8 mercenaries, and random mission tables for the 3 main missionary cores. Outsource is designed for flexible play, easily run as several one-shots or as an interconnected survival campaign. The 104-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $32. If you want to grab just the PDF alone, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $18. Sounds pretty interesting. Seems like it's pretty packed with content as well through its 104 pages. So very nice. Let's finish up our news as Mongoose Publishing has released the Journal of the Traveler's Aid Society, Volume 14 for the Traveler role-playing game. Here's what I know. Welcome to the Journal of the Traveler's Aid Society, your indispensable guide to adventuring in the far future. Each volume is a treasure trove of information and game additions for Traveler, including adventures, new ships, alien creatures from across charted space, philosophical musings on the big empires, histories, different takes on familiar equipment, new vehicles, characters to be met in starports, playable alien races, and much, much more. Some of the highlights in Volume 14 are the Cold Calling adventure, as well as 4 new bestiary entries. We've got the Mui Empire in charted space. I believe the previous journal introduced that new race to Traveler. We have a tour of the Free Trader for Highguard. We've got a new Patreon, that's what it says. Nadia Korea? It's a new NPC. And a new vehicle, the Shipboard Transport. This 128-page softcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $24.99. If you want to grab just the PDF, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $14.99. Yes. As I mentioned last night, following a successful Kickstarter, Mongoose Publishing has 5 new issues of the Journal of the Traveler's Aid Society. I'm not going to share news about each and every one, but like I said, I think these are really cool because they are from Mongoose Publishing. This is all Traveler stuff. This is not a fanzine. This is all legitimate Traveler goodies in here. All right. So that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I had mentioned DriveThruRPG a few times. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to stop by DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of the One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those sales really do add up. Help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can actually support the outlet in a couple of other ways. First, by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Oh, that's wet. Or you can become a monthly member of our Patreon. And of course, you'll find links to those down in the show notes. Should also mention, I had a couple of people just recently, like within the last 72 hours, reach out and ask, how do you go about joining the Patreon? So if you're not familiar with what I mean by the show notes, it's all the information, the written information that's underneath the video. So a lot of times you'll see, oh, Jeff unboxes and takes a first look at, and then it'll say, oh, read more. If you click on read more, that opens up all of the show notes, because that's where you're going to find the link to the company I'm talking about that night if I'm doing a first look at a game. So I always link to the company. So like today is going to be a link for Mythworks. And then I will, if it's a role-playing game and it's in PDF over at DriveThruRPG, I will link to that with our affiliate code, of course. And then, of course, you've got the links to PayPal if you want to do a one-time donation, as well as the link to the Patreon. So that's how you find it. But yeah, I guess when I say show notes, people are kind of curious, what do you mean? And of course, over on thegaminggang.com, the posts with the videos do not include all of those show notes. So they do include timestamps. And of course, it mentions, it gives you links to the stuff we're looking at and the companies I talk about in the tabletop gaming news portion. But there is no like link to the Patreon and stuff like that because it's located in other places on the website. Anyway, so there you go. Now you understand. Now you get it. Anyway, speaking of Patreon, I always like to give a shout out to our Patreon members. So a big thank you to our $5 tier members, Gustavo Covalho, Jason Lawman, Caval, Kevin R. Smith, Sean O'Donnell, and Talzek. Our $10 members, Matt W., Dan Webb, Game Cat, Pete Stracklich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, and Tier 2 DM, as well as our $25 tier members, Agile Monk and the Madman. So big tip of the cap to all of you folks out there who are members of our Patreon. And being a member of our Patreon also gets you access to the members only section of our Discord server. Not that there's a ton of stuff going on with the members section, but I am kicking around adding a looking for game channel to that. So that is probably going to pop up there this weekend. But anyway, there you have it. Got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of cool stuff. And don't forget the Discord server. There is an invite link also in the show notes. It is absolutely free to join Discord server, and the vast majority of stuff is not hidden behind a membership wall where you have to be a Patreon member to get to it. So there is that. Alrighty, so tonight I'm going to dive on in and take a first look at the Wildsea from Mythworks. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Seven up, we see the light of 7 up.
We couldn't have made it through the day without something to show the way, that something keep us going.
And you can't make it through the night if you don't have some kind of light that's showing up. 7 up. 7 up. We've seen the light of 7 up. 7 up. 7 up. We've seen the light of 7 up. 7 up. 7 up.
Financing a new home can be a nightmare. Or it can be a joy. Find out about an FHA-insured home mortgage. Write for a free consumer bulletin to FHA, Home Financing, Department of Housing and Urban Development, Washington, D.C., and banish the nightmare. Back, get back. I hate these visual demonstrations.
I'd like to take 60 seconds to talk to you about my boss, Ralph Williams. Now, everybody who's seen him on television know he's a great big tall son of a bitch and completely bald from front to back. And I want to tell you another thing. And as I said, I only have 1 minute to say it. If you come out here to shop before you buy, you think you ever got fucked before on an automobile. Wait till you try to get one of our used cars, get it even home. Now, I think the best story of all, and it's our top salesman. The salesman was describing the car and how perfect condition it was and everything. And he says, and we stand behind every car we sell. And the man says, well, it might stand behind it, but the question is, can you push? Well, I'll guarantee that's exactly what you'll do. You'll push the son of a bitch home. Now, on our 100-day guarantee, or 4,000 miles, anything goes wrong with the motor, transmission, or rim, we say you come back and we'll fix it. That's right, but we're going to hold that goddamn car for 100 days until the guarantee is completely gone. Now, when we talk about 5 brand new tires, new brake lining, did you ever see factory rejected tires? That's what we're talking about. New tires, but the factory won't even sell them. We give them for nothing. That's why they're on the automobile. So I'm just giving everybody a warning. Before you buy an automobile, be sure you do not drive to 137th Monroe Avenue North in the city of Seattle. Go anyplace else except to that bald-headed son of a bitch.
Shipwreck survivor, unknown forces lie in wait at Frankenstein Island.
What have you done? Why are you in this cell?
What have I done? What do I do?
I'll show you. Look.
It could be a scientific breakthrough, but where would it end? What sacrifice of the psyche would be considered extreme when humans are used for experimentation? Ruthless science finds no limit, no boundary, and all because of the obsessions of one man.
Mark, I want you to listen to me. We've been friends a long time. Now, you owe something to that friendship. Oh, Doc, you were yourself. You wouldn't be asking me to do anything different. Right? They've been feeding you dope ever since you got here.
Strange beings exist at Frankenstein Island. Strange compulsions. A secret lab with 7 million volts of power. It's a mind warp. Frankenstein Island. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
I get a kick out of the elderly woman in that trailer. The look on her face at the end there, like, what the hell am I doing in this thing? Classic. Absolutely classic. All right, so tonight we're going to dive on in and take a first look at the Wildsea Core Rules from Mythworks. This 360-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $59.99. If you want to grab just the PDF alone, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $24.99. DB was asking, was that the My Pillow guy? Yeah, what was up with that trailer? It's like all these schlubs standing around and all these like really attractive women in these like leopard print or cheetah print bikinis. It's like, okay. Anyway, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got the core rules for the Wildsea. I find it kind of interesting. This is more of a landscape sort of look to it, you know, the way it's laid out, as opposed to our traditional hardcovers. It's kind of cool. Kind of like that. So before we dive on in, do want to mention the fine folks over at Mythworks were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a really good feel for what you're going to find inside. Sean Dow says, very coffee table-esque. Well, this is still close to like the 11-inch by 8.5-inch. It's not exactly that, but it is close. You know what? Let's take a look at the back. An endless treetop sea. A ship with a hull of painted Leviathan bone cuts across the waves. The underslung chainsaw at the prow tearing a furrow through blossoms and branches that regrow before it crosses the horizon. The crew are a motley, a humanesque cactoid at the helm, an ancient woman with a voluminous scarf and a laugh like thunder on watch, and a hive mind of spiders slipping in and out of a silken skin as it tends to the whispering engine. There were more of them once, but the wilds are a bright and hungry place. Foxes leap like dolphins off the port side, snapping at dragonflies and living whispers that dance on the spore-choked breeze. Parasitic flowers open their blooms to the sun, their larger and more ambulatory cousins hidden by the tangle below. A distant port built onto a shuttered monastery sounds its bells, calling any who hear it to a festival of teeth. And there's a scent of promise in the air, something that brings to mind blood and honey and hope. With a flurry of words and a spin of the wheel, the ship changes course. For a wild sailor, there's always something new to be found on the rustling waves. DB says, you had me at the voluminous scarf because there aren't enough voluminous accessories in games these days. No, there really aren't. Okay, first thing we're going to do is take a peek at the credits page. A lot of folks work very hard to bring this to life. So let's give credit where credit is due. Gotta say, font is kind of small. Not terrible, kind of small though. Here's our overview. Whether you're browsing a hobby store or convention hall, scrolling through a PDF, or the proud owner of your very own copy of the book, what you're reading now is The Wildsea, a tabletop RPG of danger and exploration in an impossibly verdant, weird fantasy world. Let's give you a quick overview of what awaits you throughout the rest of these pages. The setting. Some 300 years ago, the empires of the world were toppled by a wave of fast-growing greenery, a tide of rampant growth spilling from the west. This event, the verdancy, gave rise to the world you'll explore as you play, a titanic expanse of rustling waves and sturdy bows known as the Wildsea. Now chainsaw-driven ships cut their way across dense treetop waves, their engines powered by oil fruit, rope golems, honey, and pride. Their crews are a motley, humanity's weathered descendants rubbing shoulders with cactoid gunslingers, animated wrecks, and silk cloth spider colonies, humanesque slugs with driftwood bones and other stranger things. Each has a role and a reason to be out on the Wildsea, and it's their stories, your stories, that this game is designed to tell. So the rules. Rules are made using D6 dice pools, quickly assembled from the information you have on your character sheet and the situations your characters find themselves in. Dice rolled in this way help to direct the conversation toward outcomes of triumph, conflict, or disaster. Whatever the result, the story moves forward. Tracks are used as a visual reference for many aspects of your character, their relationships with various factions, and developments in the wider story. Their boxes are marked or cleared by your actions. You also collect resources, anything from salvage and charts to living secrets and forbidden spices. These resources are tracked on your character sheet, can be combined or sacrificed for various effects. Their precise uses and qualities are drawn out as your group's own unique version of the Wildsea develops. Okay. So our chapters, first chapter is our setting. Then we get into our mechanics. Looks like this is a scene-based role-playing game. We also have a chapter about montages, as well as journeys and character elements. So we're going to get about 100 pages in before we actually get to character creation. That's kind of cool. I like when we see that. So Tessie Trekkie says your copy's even signed. Yes, it is. So I did record an interview when I was at Gen Con. I popped over by Mythworks. There wasn't any room to do a video interview. So I just did a recorded interview, and we did talk about the Wildsea. We got ships and shipbuilding, the Firefly's Guide. Wonder if that's an adventure, maybe. Chapter 10 is hazards. Chapter 11 is reaches, places that may or may not exist. And then chapter 12 is resources. All right, so core concepts of the game. The treetops are a sea. Land is scarce and valuable. Plant growth is rampant. Open flames are forbidden. Crezerin corrupts on contact. Secreted by some of the Wildsea's more dangerous vegetation. Crezerin is a potent toxin. Maybe it's like trioxin if it gets in the air. Brief contact does little more than sear skin, but long-term exposure warps both body and mind in terrifying ways. This, along with the threat of predators and falling, keeps most sailors on their ships during long voyages. The economy is barter-based, and it's a weird, weird world. I wonder if that stars Phil Silvers. Oh! So we've got the rustling waves. I like the layout of this so far. Pretty nice. I'm actually using this image as the thumbnail for tonight's show. So we've got the core four. The four species most commonly found building communities across the waves are the ardent, the ectos, or ectus, the gal, and the zelicrae. I think these are the, because remember I mentioned yesterday when I talked about we were going to take a peek at this, my buddy T.S. Lukehart from Cubicle 7 Games, when I popped over to do my interview with both T.S. as well as Dominic McDowell, he saw I had this in a stack of review copies of stuff that I was carrying around with me. And he's like, oh, he's like, this is excellent. This is awesome. And he goes flipping through so he could find these spiders. So the Ardent is the post-verdancy descendants of ancient humanity forged by hardship and disaster. The Ectus are fibrous cactoids from the ice terrain east. The world forest robbed the Ectus of the dunes and waterfalls of their ancestral home. The Gao are grown rather than born, cultivated within the warm darkness of fungal colonies before being sent out into the world when they come of age. And the Zelicrae is a hive mind of spiders, thousands of them, which has shaped, bargained for, or stolen a humanesque form. That is so wild. And then we've got the Rising Three, the Ironbound. The souls of wrecked ships sometimes gather material from the shattered hulls around them, creating a body with which to escape the loneliness of the open waves. We have the Ketra. Like the Ardent, the Ketra are descendants of a humanity long consigned to the churn of history. Unlike the Ardent, they were trapped below the new wilds as the verdancy tore across the world in mountain heart mines and industrial edifices large enough to withstand the questing roots. So they have been exposed to the Krezerin and cramped pitch black environments, and it has warped them to something far removed from their ardent kin. And then we have the Mothrin. Short-lived but determined to fill their time with meaning, Mothrin are fast, fragile, and often wildly decorated. Bright colors and elaborate clothes are common, a direct result of their pre-verdant history of harshly enforced monastic isolationism. Though Mothrin have wings, the ability to truly fly is a rare one, leaving most capable of elegant gliding maneuvers but little opportunity to gain height without thermals and updrafts. So these are all of them as part of the crew of the three Salt Bloom. Thought it was an O. So we've got Travel. It's an example of the ship with its chainsaws to tear through. The Growth. Civilization. Islands on the wild seas stand out like stars in a hungry cosmos, fragile constellations of civility and law amid the vast expanse of the wilds. But civility, and by the same token, law, are relative terms with the massive split of culture and the harsh conditions that follow the verdancy. Even the comparative safety of solid ground can be a dangerous and unpredictable place. Tessie Trekkie says one thing they like about how Mythworks compose their games, each game has that overview page that gives you the top line on the game setting and mechanics. Yes, I also have The Last Caravan and CBR plus PNK. So I think we might look at you know what? I think we will. I think we'll look at The Last Caravan next week. So here we've got the mechanics. So your Firefly is the game master. That's kind of interesting term. All right, Chris Leonard's rocking on out. Good to see you again, Chris. Hope to see you next week. The Wildsea uses ordinary six-sided dice, referred to throughout these rules as D6s. You'll never be rolling more than 6 dice at a time, and if you're the Firefly, you'll hardly ever, though may occasionally, need more than 1. A digital die roller works just as well for this too. So you need a character sheet, a crew sheet. This is this is kind of cool, giving us a breakdown of the character sheet as well as the crew sheet. Game follows a particular structure to help the story flow, a mix of scenes, montages, and journeys to suit the various situations you'll find yourselves in. There's a quick rundown of them here for reference, but you'll learn more about them over the next few chapters. Scenes. Most of your time playing will be spent in scenes, short bursts of action, exploration, and discovery that give you a chance to develop the narrative and role-play your character. Montages are periods of rest. Unhurried exploration and training are usually treated as montages, condensing the mundane but necessary parts of an adventure into the shortest time possible. Then we also have journeys, which allow your crew to take to the waves in your ship, cutting your way to a new destination. While you travel, you'll take turns at the helm and on watch, making decisions and facing challenges as you make progress across the waves. Tessie Trekkie is also rocking on out. Good to see you once again. Hopefully, we'll see you next week. I should also mention that I did see some supplemental material that is out for the Wildsea. So it's not as if it's only this core book. There are, I think one of the books is an adventure or a campaign. Sean O'Donnell says, I remain. Well, that's good. We also have twists. Twists occur whenever a roll of the dice comes up with a double. They don't replace the usual result, but instead signify that something extra and unexpected has happened, usually related to the action or situation that caused the roll. Twists are often something beneficial, though they don't technically have to be. All right, so wait a second. Let's see. I'm taking a guess. You're going to have your dice pool. What do we need to roll? Do we need to roll sixes? Or are we totaling it up? When your dice pool is ready, you roll all the dice in it at once, then read off the highest number as your result. Okay. You should also read off whether you've got any doubles. The number shown on the doubles doesn't matter, just whether 2 or more dice came up with the same. Managing a triple or higher still counts as a double, so there's no mechanical difference to the outcome of the roll. As an example, a roll of 2, 3, 5 would give a result of 5. Roll of 1, 2, 2, 3 would give a result of 3 with doubles. So we're going to have a target number. I'm taking a guess. Reading off your result kickstarts the conversation again, usually with the description of what the outcome of your action looks like in-game. In some cases, you'll be describing the effects yourself. In others, the Firefly will take the reins. If there's a twist involved, the description might be a group effort, as other players suggest possible unexpected outcomes. So a 6 is a triumph, a complete success, no drawbacks. A 4 or 5 is conflict, still a success, but with a drawback of some kind, such as taking damage or losing a resource. 1, 2, 3 is disaster, a failure that also introduces a narrative complication or drawback of some kind. If you're affecting a track, this usually doesn't let you mark or clear at all. And then, of course, we have the doubles, which gives us the twist. Wow. Pretty interesting there. It's really super rules light. Okay, so we've got scene basics. It's going to tell us about scenes here. It's like we get little bits of fiction along the side as well. Combat. Golden rules of combat. You don't need a weapon to enter the fray. You don't need combat skills to help out your crew. Focus is fluid and still determined by the narrative. Focus gives you opportunity to do more than just attack. You'll never die before you're ready. Damage may mount up, injuries may compound, but death on the wild sea is a narrative event, not a mechanical one. If it's not your time yet, you'll always pull through. That will bother some people. So I've heard grumblings from various folks online that they really don't care for this kind of move towards the mechanics not being what leads to character death, that it's narrative choice, essentially. That doesn't really bug me that much. I mean, it depends on the sort of game you're playing. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing something that's, a real old school vibe where, kind of a meat grinder, yes, I would sit there and think, okay, kind of goofy, right? It's like, all right, so all these, total party kill challenges facing the party, but none of them get killed. No, that wouldn't make any sense, but that doesn't really bother me. A foe undefeated is not a combat failed. Is combat an essential part of the game? The Wildsea is a bright, beautiful, dark, dangerous place. Most crews that head out onto the rustling waves will find themselves in dangerous situations before too long, either at the hands of bandits or the jaws of a relentless predator. But most does not mean all. If your group wants to run a game or campaign of the Wildsea without explicitly delving into combat and bloodshed, it's entirely possible. Diplomacy, trickery, and bargaining can be just as effective as a blade when wielded with conviction. Kevin King says, so the world is almost entirely aquatic, but the lore and species are overwhelmingly terrestrial. I would have thought they would go for an Earthsea vibe. What role does the sea play here? The sea is not the sea, as Kevin R. Smith is pointing out. It's a forest. So all of this verdant growth has pretty much strangled everything underneath it. And now because of course it's not supposed to be Earth, I don't believe. I don't think this is supposed to be a post-apocalyptic Earth. I think this is a foreign planet, but it looks as if the verdant growth, or the verdancy, I think that's what it said it's called, essentially has wiped out most of the living things on the planet, is what my guess is. So we've got focus in combat. There's no initiative or standard turn order to follow once blades are drawn. The spotlight moves from character to character just as it does during other parts of the game, giving a member of the crew the chance to take some kind of action before swinging to something else. There are a couple of extra things to keep in mind, though. Actions and reactions. Combat is usually a lot choppier than a scene based on exploration or interaction, with more shifts and focus for dramatic happenings and death-defying escapes. Characters will likely be reacting to events such as incoming attacks or changes in positioning as often as they're taking actions themselves. How long is an action? As long as it needs to be to achieve something important. Well, there you go. Then we have a focus tracker. It's a quick set of tracks to show how many times different characters have acted and reacted over the course of combat. Okay. Now we got combat terms, damage types, blunt, keen, spike, hewing, serrated, toxin, acid, blast, volt, frost, salt, and flame. That's pretty interesting because it's kind of like really like rules light here. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, look at all these types of damages. But I suppose you have various different creatures and even possibly some of the character species that maybe they have weaknesses, or maybe they're vulnerable to certain kinds of damage, and maybe they are protected against others. So we've got our montages. Montages allow your crew to benefit from one of the most useful tropes of the big screen, the condensing of long periods of time into short but narratively useful snapshots. I guess you got to make sure that you have a Survivor on the cassette player. You can bust that out. So we got montage examples, taking some time to work on a personal project, picking tiger limes from a treetop fruit farm, hunting thrash pigeons for their meat and feathers, tipping one beaker of chemicals into another of hard-won salts. Okay. So we've got recovery. We've got recovery tasks, healing, repairing, and relaxing. It's like we've got some quick rules about creating stuff, putting projects into effect. And then we've got our journeys. Don't stop believing. So we've got some examples of journeys here. Journeys move you from one place to another, usually by means of a ship. They also allow you to discover new locations and opportunities as you travel and to define some truths about the Wildsea itself. Some examples here: hunting the famed white-collar snare, a leviathan fox too beautiful to live. Churning and listing an iron spine cactus, spikes gouge at your hull. Searching for a particular bounty head, the eyes of your crew straining for a glimpse of their distinctive airship. Smashing through a poorly erected pirate barricade, deck guns firing and chainsaw prow roaring. I like the artwork too. That's got a bit of an anime look to it, especially the collar. I don't know what it is about animes where the collars are always up and the collars are always really high. I recall that going back to like Robotech. That's cool. I think those are the spiders. Maybe not. So more info about the journey. Then we get character elements. We're almost to the character creation. I do believe that there are a lot of archetypes, and we know we've got, 7 different species that we saw. So we've got narrative background. All characters in the Wildsea are a combination of 3 main elements: a bloodline, an origin, and a post. Okay. But I want to make a character now. This looks like this is going to be a really fun read. So we got narrative background. Just because your character's background is a set of mechanical choices doesn't mean they can't also have fictive or narrative impulses and importance behind them. When coming up with a concept for your character, it can often help to tie in to elements of the world that have piqued your interest. I got to say, there's a little bit of a sheen. So, well, I shouldn't say a little bit. There's a good amount of sheen to the paper, and it's kind of catching some light here, making it a little more difficult for me to read under all the lights here in the duct tape studios. So we have edges. So these are ways your character is most used to solving problems and tackling challenges. So we have grace, iron, instinct, sharps, teeth, tides, and veils. We've got skills. We have a list of skills here. Yep. Brace, break, concoct, cook, delve, flourish, hack, harvest, hunt, outwit, rattle, scavenge, sense, study, sway, tend, vault, and wave walk. So we've got skill ranks. It's like these are just more ways to increase your dice pool. And then we have aspects. Your aspects are things that make your character distinct, giving them new abilities and unique ways to tackle challenges on the Wildsea. You can have 7 aspects in total. Looks like we've got a decent number of those. Then we have resources. And then final section of the character sheet is reserved for any temporary tracks you might need to keep an eye on, such as project tracks. Tracks are like benefits gained through cooking or crafting, or tracks representing lasting injuries. Temporary tracks are usually constructed like aspects. Some might have special rules, but most are purposefully broad in terms of scope. Projects have been covered on page 64, so they delve into benefits and injuries. All right, here we go. Character creation. Young guns and old dogs. When creating a Wildsea character, you have the choice of beginning as a young gun, a fresh wild sailor with little experience of the rustling waves, a good grounding for long-term campaign play, or an old dog, a seasoned traveler that's had some time to develop, great for one-shots. We recommend making this choice as a table before you begin, as it determines the amount of options you pick during your character creation. So young gun gets their bloodline, origin, and post, 3 edges, 8 skills or language ranks, 4 aspects taken from any bloodline, origin, or post, 4 resources, and 3 drives and 3 mires. So I would assume drives are things that drive the characters, and mires might be kind of flaws that they might have. So here we've got our species. So here's our ardent. So we also get our aspects here that you can choose from. There's a quick start kit. If you want to just put a character together really fast. Here's the ectus. Those are the cactus folk. Here are the gal. I think these were the ones who are like fungus. Yes, that's what they are. The ironbound, which are like the souls of the ships that have been destroyed. The ketra, these are the ones that are sort of like corrupted humans, I think it was. There are the Mothrin, or the moth folk. All right, so here we go. These are the Zelicrae, which are, okay, so spider colonies wrapped in humanesque skin, thousands of tiny arachnid minds threaded like beads on a string to produce a full, rich sapience. Becoming a more common sight across the Wildsea by the year, the Zelicrae are spider colonies raised to sapience through an unknown and mysterious process. Though technically thousands of individual minds and bodies working together, most Zelicrae think of themselves as a singular being. Zelicrae are no more or less likely to be dangerous than any other denizens of the Wildsea, but fear and distrust of them runs deep in many communities due to their unsettling attempts at mimicry. Sweet. Okay, the amberclad. So that was a new one, I think. Oh, hang on. Yeah, okay. Those were the bloodlines. Now we get our origins. So this also gives us options for aspects. Gotta say, this looks really cool. I am going to try to get a review out of this within the next couple of weeks. But here we got the posts. So one is, okay, hacker. The marks and scars of your profession are writ large on your skin. A hacker's job is to clear the way for settlements, ships, and exploration, plunging into the wilds to tear open paths and clearings. The earliest hackers used fire before quickly realizing that the ironwood bows regrew faster than they burned. Now they know, like every other survivor, that fire is more trouble than it's worth. For the more modern of their kind, sharpened metal chemicals and honest sweat reign supreme, and worth is measured in snapped branches and rough cut roots. So we also get additional aspects to choose. So you're looking at getting a lot of options for your player characters. So these are kind of their archetypes. And it looks like there's quite a few of them. The Tempest, your blood crackles with sparks. Your heart heats. Oh, yeah, it says your heart heats with thunder. Oh, no, beats. Yeah, a little difficult to. I was like, heart heats. What? Internalizing the wild power of a storm is no small feat, but it's not impossible, either through technological application or obscure arcanautic methods. Tempests have managed to embed the essence of lightning within themselves. All right. So then we've got ships and shipbuilding for your players to create their own ship. I know there's a crew sheet. I'm wondering if you create other NPCs to make up your crew. All right, so this is where we start getting into the Game Masters section. Talking about session 0. Pacing, one-shots, campaigns, the classic Wildsea session. There are many ways to run a session of the Wildsea, and as you play, you'll likely find the perfect balance of elements to work for your players and the stories you want to tell together. That said, there are some components that, while not essential, certainly give a good full experience of life on the waves. If you're aiming to encapsulate that classic Wildsea experience in a single session, which can be especially useful for one-shots, you should aim to cover a scene of exploration, a transition from place to place, a journey, a time for crew to interact with each other, a time for the world to shine, a discovery of something new or unexpected. We get a toolbox here discussing action roles, montages and journeys, NPCs and resources. I think this looks like this might be a bit of a gazetteer here. And we have hazards, basic and complex hazards. Flame, rifts, Krezerin, wonders and horrors. It's like a bit of a bestiary included with this as far as our hazards. So are we going to see an adventure here? Kind of curious. I would like to. I got my fingers crossed here. I think this is still a section on hazards. So here's the yeah, it was. That was all part of the hazards. So here are reaches, places that may or may not exist. Reaches are a natural consequence of this. Areas of the sea that are more known, more detailed, more quantifiable. So places that they would know. So we have the Fox Loft. Looks like these are more areas. Yep, so that's what the reaches are. Another area. Another region, I guess I should say. The Ambered Irons. And this is another region. Well, you certainly can't say there isn't a lot of content in this. And we have Profits Fall, another area. So it's giving us a breakdown of some of the important locations. We have our table resources, alternate twist rules, dragonfly rules, some sheets, different sheets that you can utilize, our glossary, our index. Sadly, no introductory adventure. I would have liked to have seen that, even if it was only a few pages in length, to kind of give you an idea. Get a breakdown of rules and scenes and stuff. That's nice. I like that. The Kickstarter backers. Here is our character sheets, our ship sheets. And then we've got our credits here. And it was Rick Heisey that I interviewed. In fact, I want to say that's what this is. It's an R and an H. He put his initials on it. All right. There you have it. A first look at the Wildsea from Mythworks. Once again, this hardcover is available now. It's been out for a bit. The 360-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $59.99. If you want to get just the PDF alone, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $24.99. So Troy Cornelson's joining us as we're wrapping up for the night. Welcome, Troy. Kevin King says, so if Blades in the Dark and Fate had a child system set on a strange alien world, this would be it. Very possibly. Very possibly. Oh, if you're curious about the production quality, very nice. Very solid paper stock. Not super keen on the amount of sheen that's on here, but it's not terrible. It was just because normally I don't have so much light coming down at a book I'm reading, so that shouldn't be that big a deal. But yeah, very nice. And of course, stitch binding, obviously enough. All right. So stay tuned. I'll have a review of the Wildsea Core Rules in the not too distant future. So next week on Tuesday's show, we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at the Cipher System Core Rulebook from Monte Cook Games. I've got some Monte Cook Games reviews on the horizon. I've got some more first looks as well, because I've got Neon Rain, their cyberpunk genre book, which I'll be sharing week after next. And then, as I mentioned, I think we'll look at The Last Caravan. This is also from Mythworks. It's a little more recent than the Wildsea. In fact, I believe this came out not too long ago in print. This was also a successful crowdfunding project. And I've got some other stuff that's supposedly in transit or about to be in transit. So maybe we'll squeeze something that appears out of nowhere next week. Otherwise, I've got plenty of other stuff we can be taking a peek at. But that's what we'll do. Tuesday's show, Cipher System, and then on Wednesday's show, The Last Caravan, and then we'll play it by ear for a week from tonight. All right, that is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already, and if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. Also inform you when I share other videos, such as my recent review of Rivers of London in Liberty's Shadow from Chaosium Inc. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, a bigger thank you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company while I'm sharing the news or unboxing a board game or flipping through an RPG book. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,300 videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. Every time I say 2,300, I'm like, yikes. I know, that's a lot. That is a lot. All right, everybody. Once again, thanks for watching. I'm Jeff McAleer. And as always, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.